I think we're live. Yeah, and we're
The
live.
broadcast is live.
And I am James Wulfgar. And we got Kofi and SKS Props and Wildkarde with us today. I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk to all three of these guys because they are three of my favorite people to talk to. Also, we messed up today and gave me control, so if anything's around or anything like that.
Kofi,
I have no idea.
Boo! No.
What will happen though is now Kofi gets to actually pay attention and talk. But if anybody asks anything in the comments and they're not it's not popping up at the bottom, that's on me. So you can blame me on that one. But with that, I'm James, and welcome to Lowering the Bar with Wulfgar. That's me. And the entire point of this show is to just basically lower that bar of entry to cosplay and prop making and making in general. And we have really talented people on here sometimes. Luckily tonight, we definitely do. Sometimes it's just me talking. So I wouldn't say talented. But I would, because I'm cool. Anyway, what the point of it though is to really just make sure that anybody that's watching, if you ask a question, any comments or anything, please do. We're here to answer questions and kind of chat and get to know each other more. That's the point, and that's me, James, and my co-host, which he wasn't here last week, and I missed him. Is Kofi? Go ahead, Kofi. Introduce yourself here.
Hey, how you guys doing? I am Friday Kofi Austin, digital content creator, Renaissance man, cook, marketer. Sometimes semi-professional Magic player. Yeah.
And then we also have with us SKS Props, which I'll let him introduce himself.
How's it going, guys? I'm Steve, SKS Props. Most of you guys know me. I do a bunch of different YouTube videos and tutorials and stuff like that. I teach you guys how to build cool stuff out of foam. And it's a lot of work. So I hope you enjoy the videos.
Oh, yeah.
As you noticed, it was kind of slow to get that. I'm playing with the controls now, so we're going to do that. So, next up is Wildkarde.
I am Scott Pope. I am the Wildkarde. I am not James Wulfgar, though I am often mistaken for James Wulfgar. I am a prop maker, fabricator, part-time cosplayer, and sometimes helper of guys in the industry. So there you go.
And hugger of foam, because that's like
what's not to love about the HD foam. Have you felt this foam? This is great foam.
I have literally
James has bitten into it.
This is I mean, like I can't say enough about HD foam.
Yeah, I don't know if I like where this is going, man. Like I and we do use it in our shop quite a bit at Wulfgar Weapons. We actually even have it in the rafters to block sound in the packaging, right? We have so much of it. It's just in the rafters and we use it all the time. But I do like this stuff a lot. So I'm sure we'll talk about more foam later because that's kind of a big thing you guys do. And
I'm always going to bring it back around to HD foam. I'm like, that's a great question. Speaking of HD foam.
ABB, always be branding, man.
That's right.
With that being said, first question I have is, can you use that foam for studio stuff and podcasting?
I mean, technically, it's foam. It's going to be a sound deadener.
It is.
Okay.
So technically,
yes, you can. Absolutely. Friday Kofi.
You want. You can stand on it, man. That's the point. Right?
You can slice it, you can dice it, you can shave it, you can use it for soundproofing.
Soundproof, it's waterproof.
But not Julian fries, all right? No eating it.
Don't eat it.
Okay, fine.
Not recommended to eat.
I won't recommend. It doesn't taste that bad. And I also have literally seen people open that up. Actually, Freddie's on here. I watched a TikTok Freddie made, and he was literally he opened up a fresh pack of HD foam and he just smelled it on TikTok. I'm like, oh man, I know that smell.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people talk about the new foam smell, but they will never understand unloading a full shipping container in the middle of summer, completely full of that foam? It's the worst smell you've ever had.
When it's 110 degrees outside.
Right.
Imagine how warm it is
Oh,
inside
God.
a shipping container.
Oh man,
Yeah, it is a love-hate relationship smell, right? Right.
Absolutely.
it smells like money.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the greatest thing about it. Like in all these things, it's like it's money for the people who are selling it. It's money for the people who are using it because they're saving money or they're making things to sell for money, like us. And yeah, it's just good stuff for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's
Back
what
to
you
the real
think.
stuff.
Free to ask questions, and I'm again for people who are joining. I'm the one that's controlling this tonight, so I will for sure be messing this up, and I'm going to show as many things as I can. Are those glasses made from HD foam? Yes, they are. I have that much skill right here. Look at that. Like, no,
You are good.
You laser cut it.
Real thin. Real thin.
You're like flopping all over my face.
No, they won't flop.
I mean, I feel like they would. We covered this whole thing. We have flop props that's going to come on here at some point.
Nice.
All right, Kofi, please keep us on track because
Okay. All right.
I know you have questions, but I don't. I don't know where I am right now.
Well, we'll get into our normal questions that we asked. I know you guys have already been asked since you've been on here, but let's go ahead and start off with, what is your favorite tool to use outside of foam?
And outside of each other.
Well, foam's not a tool; it's just a medium.
That's right.
So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's got to be the rotary tool. It's got to be. You know, I have 3 Dremels. I got a Fordham. I got one of the little cheap Winds. I mean, I got them all over the place, hanging from the ceiling right now. So, yeah, rotary tool control. That's where it's at if you want to get in the foam game.
Yeah, you do a lot of good work with that rotary tool.
Rotary tool. I'm gonna say. Go ahead. Go ahead, James.
No, I was gonna say. How about you? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna go with my my blade, my Excel blade. Yeah, with my different blades that you can put into them.
I want you to cosplay as Crocodile Dundee and just like have that.
Like,
Like,
also
"I'm still on a blade."
Also blade.
Yeah, that's exactly. So you can do it.
Yeah, I got it.
And like the 4 of us got that reference, but everybody watching is
Everybody else is like,
Yeah,
I don't
everybody-
understand.
Kids,
Is that some sort of like,
all these
Yeah.
kids
like,
that are new to the
I've never
cosplay
heard
thing.
Billy Butcher say that. I don't understand that boys reference.
Yeah, that is a really weird. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, that's one thing. To interject here, that's
Go ahead.
one thing that has kind of blown my mind recently. I turned 40 in December.
Oh yeah, Steve's old now.
So I am now
by
in
the
the
way.
over 40 cosplay group, you know. But it is. It's like we're the old guys of the cosplay world now, you know. We got all these young whippersnappers coming up and moving into our territories. Time to pass the torch.
Get off my lawn.
I want. Yes, exactly. Like I want to be that old, like wise, like dumbass uncle or like grandpa that's on the porch.
I'm
like,
telling you,
get
man.
off my lawn. But then, like,
it's me and Ted are like the old guys out there. Like, get off my lawn, kid. You know.
Back in our day, we used floor mats.
Now you used to use floor mats and a sharpened stone. I used
leather
to rock
to
and used to
actually
beat it.
sharpen our knives. Yeah.
We used to have to crush berries to make our own paint.
Right, for a new idea, I forget lowering the bar. We should just have like old fogies of cosplay. Right?
Right.
Yeah, we should just be us on like rocking chairs.
Right.
Out
Just
on
sitting
like
there.
on a,
Just be like,
I got a bowl of Werther's Originals. You're just,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Pepperidge
Drinking
Farms
some
remembers.
tea and, like, yeah, no, that's it. That's a new show. We'll do that next year.
Yeah.
Back when I'm 40, because I'm not 40 yet.
I was gonna say because you're still a kid.
I am still a child for at least, I don't know, a couple more months, and then I turn 40. Ugh. Yeah. So
we're all in that. We're all in that group, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know why people pay attention to us. Apparently,
No, I don't either.
apparently we have some wisdom.
These guys have been around forever. They got to know something, right?
Yeah. And see, I like the Abraham's like literally 40s and 20s. Thank you for trying to make us feel better, but I remember 20, and I am way ackier than I was when I was 20.
Yeah. 40s and 20. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I still feel
But that's
that.
awesome too, is that all the people that, you know, I would have never thought about like going into cosplay and all that, you know, when I was younger, but all those people that never did it that are older can now jump in. There is no age barrier to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, there never really has been, but there are definitely some things that we used to do back in the day. So I love that part of it, right? Like I love being like, oh, back in the day I did this, and like I didn't have these here newfangled materials and things like that. So every once in a while I'll go down that path, but I know that it's.
Back in the day, I used to go to conventions and take a buzz axe that was fully resin cast that had a metal blade in it, that was sanded down. It wasn't sharp, but it's like you can't do that now.
No. Or they used to, dress up as that's from that really old show, that really old cartoon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or remember Pokemon?
G.I. Joe, like we always know G.I. Joe, but here's the thing: what's great about that too is I've like done gargoyles costumes. People are like, what the hell's gargoyles? And I'm like, wait, now you get to know what gargoyles is. So there's that whole like, what is that? And then maybe they get into it. I've done that with other things too, even stuff that's like younger than my time, right? So it's not all about the age either.
Well, no, but that's like there's a lot of guys out there too, but especially probably more on the prop maker side than on the cosplayer side that are still in that kind of like old school, older prop generation, like Michael Corey, like he does a lot of props that are still from like Alien, Fifth Element, like that older, like when we were kids growing up kind of stuff. That every time I see he posts something new, I'm like, yes, like it just brings me right back, and I want like everything that he's ever made, So like there's still guys.
The nostalgia factor.
Yeah, the nostalgia factor. Like I don't need something from The Mandalorian or something that came out last year. I want something that was from when we were kids.
I want both. I want both. So I love The Mandalorian, but I definitely like that. And Michael Corey, speaking of, he's on here right now.
Oh, he's on the show? What's up, dude?
Yeah, and he said that can be arranged, right?
That can be arranged. That
right
Mandalore rifle, I'm all like, yeah.
And Michael, do me a favor and put the link to your new show, because he's got a show like History of Props or something like that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact name. Put the link
to the last one
down there. And he's got a podcast that he talks about that.
Oh,
It's really good. It's really good. I listened to the last episode. I have to go back and get the first one, but I listened to the last one. It's really, really good. You guys should definitely listen to it.
Yeah.
Plus, he's making mask stuff, man. Like,
yes.
The cars that converted.
Yes.
I
love mask. Love mask.
Yeah. So that's actually a fantastic question. When did you guys start? Now we're talking about being.
Yeah.
We'll start with the old one. Scott, you go first.
Start what?
What was your first convention you went to? So maybe not like
Wizard World Chicago, in the Rosemont in 2000.
Oh shit! Never mind. Wow.
Nice. Okay. That's awesome.
I was just graduating high school at that point.
I actually went to that convention too. We went for comics, but I went to 2000.
We went for toys.
Yeah.
Me and my boys were toy collectors back then.
Yeah, so were I. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think my first convention was 2011, but it was Wizard World Chicago, and we just went and dressed as Gears of War people and had fun for a day.
Yeah. I see Tristan's on. What's up, Tristan?
Steve, when was your first convention?
I was in 2013.
Yeah.
I went to Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. That was the very first con I'd ever gone to, and they just moved it from a small venue, and that was the first year at Bartle Hall. So it was, and of course I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know, what the con scene was and dressing up and doing the cosplay thing. I had no clue, but luckily I had some really good geeky friends with me. We all worked at Lowe's together and kind of got me introduced into all that, and inevitably it changed my life. So
yeah, the rest is history, right? As they say. Oh man, people are putting their age in 2000 and
Allie was 3. I was 21.
It's okay. But the great thing about it is, we're friends with them, right? We still hang out, and cosplay can bring people from all kinds of different shapes, sizes, ages, like religions, all that stuff all comes together. And actually, let me tell you that real quick too. Probably one of my favorite things at all. Can you guys hear that like rattling?
Yeah, that's me.
Is that you? Okay, I wasn't sure. One of my favorite things in cosplay at all is the fact that I'll go on like the floor of a convention, and there'll be so many different people who are all kinds of different like backgrounds, right? And I know them from out of cosplay, and a lot of times they probably wouldn't hang out with each other at all. And even if they were like in the same room, they just wouldn't have reasons to talk to each other. But because of cosplay and the things that are going on, and it's just amazing to see how much it just brings people together who sometimes, I know that they probably wouldn't like each other in real life. I mean, even in that respect. But like in cosplay land, it's totally fine, right? And vice versa. Like they're going to be best friends in real life, and they met in cosplay. So it's just one of those things I just love about it. But
no, it makes total sense. I mean, like when you look back throughout your life of friends that you had in high school and friends you had in elementary school, and it's different because like we've all grown, we've all moved on, but the friends that I've made in cosplay are some of the best friends I've ever had. And I feel that it's more than just because we didn't go to the same school together. We have a common interest in everything, and so it is a deeper friendship, a deeper bond.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why you're friends with Steve, and that makes sense. I mean, not Steve, but
I'm friends with myself. Yes,
with Scott. I get you guys confused because you look exactly the same.
Yeah. I'll tell you that the guys I went to my first convention with 21 years ago, like I'm still friends with those guys to this day. And there's a lot of guys I was friends with that back in 2000 that I'm not friends with anymore.
Yeah.
But I still talk to those guys. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what other questions do we usually ask? Favorite tool, and that's it. We're done.
Well, I got one actually. This is just a random one. Has nothing to do with anything else. Because a lot of people watching this show already know you guys,
Yeah.
So they kind of know what you do. So I guess the question I have is, what's something that you guys like that most people don't?
What do I like that most
random wise, or just like
just random?
I know something Steve likes that most people don't.
Please tell us. I would love to hear.
It starts with G and ends in N.
I do love me a good gin and tonic. Yeah, most
He
people
likes
don't
gin.
like those. So
It's an old man because it's an old man's drink.
well, I've progressed through all the other ones. I've got I think Scotch left, and I'm good to go. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people like them, but I don't like chitlins. You guys ever heard of chitlins?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, they're awful. Don't ever eat them.
No.
No, it tastes awful.
A lot of negativity.
You're not a chitlin fan. What about tripe? You ever had like a tripe sandwich?
I do like tripe in my tacos.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So what about you, Scott? Anything that you specifically like that, it's just random? It's a very random question. I love these kind of questions.
I don't know. The more that I hang out with you guys, I find out that the stuff that I like guys like us like in my everyday dealings of like people, like we don't like the same things, but you guys all, and like probably everybody on this, on the lowering the bar, we probably all like the same stuff. So in this
watching
crowd,
like little kid cartoons, eating some cereal, It's
I mean,
okay. I used to get made fun of mercilessly because I really love that cartoon, Mummies Alive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but we're all like, yeah, man. Remember like when Shaw was like making the Mummies Alive stuff, and Shawshank props, and I was like, yeah, man, I love that. I mean, my friends used to make fun of me mercilessly because I liked the Mummies Alive characters. But I'm like, but here we all like that. So I'm like, I don't know. I drink coffee black, but like that's not a thing. I don't know.
Wow, that's okay.
We're so boring.
I know. I don't watch football. I don't play video games. How about that?
That's true.
Oh, really?
Every
you don't
time
play video games.
I don't.
And you know
play
how
video
many
games.
video game props I do, and I'll send pictures to Scott, and I'm like, dude, check this out, and he's like, I have no idea what the reference is. I bet it's cool though. Good job. Keep going.
It looks really neat, Steve. Keep up the good work.
I totally understand that too, though, because as much as I do like video games, I just have less time to play them, and there's just a crap ton of them. So people make all kinds of different things, and I don't get to follow them as much. every once in a while I'll play a video game that's like 4 years old, and I'm like, guys, have you seen Battlefront 2 storyline? And they're like, yeah, guys. It's like I played through Battlefront 2 the other day, and I'm telling the guys in the shop about it, and they're like, yeah, that's old news. But yeah.
I'm gonna assume that that's a Star Wars reference.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. I knew that. I'm up on my Star Wars. Okay.
This
I did
show is
know
going
that.
to work great. We're just going to sit around and talk about shit that we don't like and that we don't know about, right? We're like, this I've never heard of that.
Is there even anybody in the chat who doesn't know us? I mean, seriously.
Some people, right?
Okay.
I mean, they mainly.
I mean, most of these people, right? They're the ones when we go to C2E2 and we're all
these
hanging
are the people
in the
we
lobby.
hang out with. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. But this is going to be on YouTube later, so other people might watch it. You
Fair
don't
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your view count? Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man, that's rough.
But I also like cereal too. Okay, now he's calling me out for this.
I've seen you eat cereal, James.
Yeah, totally.
Totally eat cereal.
My wife's not there. She can vouch. Yeah, but that shit does not matter at all. This is not Rogan Bar, in which we get to know people and their cereal habits.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, so what? Okay, this is getting back to it, and this is something I'd love to hear from both of you because every time, I would love to know. So, what advice would you give your past self, or just actually somebody starting out? Actually, both because we got time. You guys have been doing this for so long, and you guys have been doing so many different things, right? Like from prop making to costuming to now selling foam, which I do want to get into. But what kind of stuff would you go back and like tell your past self and be like, hey man, do this or don't do that? And Scott, you gotta go first.
Nothing.
Me. I like it.
No, I mean honestly, everything I've done has led me to exactly where I'm at. And like for me, there's nothing I would tell my past self. You know, my experiences are what led me to where I am today. And you know, it's been a lot of ups and downs, and I tell you, it hasn't been the smoothest of roads, you know, in my lifetime. But no, I wouldn't do it over again. I wouldn't tell myself anything differently. I'm really content with where I'm at in my life and what everything has happened up this far and where it's going. So I'm good.
No, it's funny
I mean,
that you asked that.
I have some advice to give to people if they're starting out, but we'll get to that after Steve.
Sure.
You know, is that, you know, you're asking that kind of a question. Scott and I literally talk about that all the time.
Steve and I talk every day, by the way. So
pretty much, yeah. At least
we're in
text.
Contact every day, yeah.
But I mean, that's one thing that we definitely, and I truly believe, is that everything happens for a reason. Everything that has ever happened in my life, like you look at it, and it's just coincidence is so vague in it. You know, like what are the chances that I moved to St. Louis? What are the chances that I go to Wizard World and I spend time with James and Scott on a panel? What are then the chances that Scott and I drive to Indiana to go to Dragon Con, but we're in the car for 5 hours, so what the hell do you talk about? And I literally tell him that I'm at a crossroad in my life of I'm going to quit cosplay and prop making, or I'd like to start doing the foam, doing the line. You know, and you look back between all of that, and it's just like everything led up to that point. So, I mean, yeah, when you ask Scott and I that, it's like we literally talk about that all the time. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, Steve's mantra is always everything happens for a reason. And my mantra is if it was easy, everyone would do it.
All right, cool. So I think I've had that conversation with both of you a couple of times.
I'm sure.
That's good. No, that's great. Well, how about you, Kofi? You got any advice that you would tell your past self? I mean, after them both saying like that's stupid, you shouldn't do that. Everything happens for a reason. Seems like kind of a shitty question. But
I mean, I think there's I've taken a lot of chances in my life, but I think I would have took more. If there's something I could say, like more business chances and more like entrepreneur chances, especially when I was younger. Like I was kind of like, there was different opportunities that did come my way that I said, no, I'm going to focus on this. And no one told me that I really wasn't good at what that was.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably should have switched over a lot of different times, some took some different opportunities.
I'd say that's pretty solid advice too, right? To most people across the board. Okay, so yeah, let's get back down to the not specifically to you, right? Because everything happens for a reason. For a reason. To a reason. No, for a reason. Okay, yeah. But what are some of like the big pieces of advice that you would give somebody like starting out, just across the board? Scott, you said you had some before, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's starting out, I mean, it depends on what you're starting out with. I mean, if you're just starting out in life, or you want to say like you're starting out in like what we do, like you're prop making, cosplaying.
Prop making.
Let's go with that way. You're going into prop making. You're going into whatever. I would definitely say be fearless, but have a thick skin. Don't be afraid to put it out there, but take the criticism and take it well. Take it from where you need to take it from. Like unsolicited criticism from someone who's worth taking it from is worth taking to heart. And then criticism from people who aren't worth taking it from and is not worth taking. So understand your criticism and your creative feedback and take it from where it's supposed to come from, from people, and believe it and work on it and work hard to if you're passionate in it and somebody gives you advice, then take that advice and work hard to advance in your craft, and network, know people, but not to advance your career, just to know more people, just to broaden your network.
It is all about who you know a lot of the time.
It very much so is.
Across the board. I found that to be
absolutely.
Just talking to people on here. I have met a lot of like really fun people and created a lot of cool like opportunities just talking to people on here. And that's not just because we're like friends, but I'm just talking in general. Networking is always good. That's hugely good advice in my opinion.
Yeah, or if you're at a convention or if you're somewhere or just anywhere, just be a nice person, talk nice, let them talk, have fun with it, just be nice. Don't be self-serving.
Yeah.
And don't let them necessarily be self-serving either. Just be a nice guy and have a conversation. Be a nice gal and have a conversation.
Sure. Or if you're at a convention, maybe don't have the conversation, just go do the thing and say hi and like meet them, right? So a lot of times, you're at a convention, having a conversation at a convention is really tough. Then is what I'm saying. But have it, follow up, I guess.
It's hard to read the room. So if you're super nervous and you want to go say, and you really want to talk to somebody, but you understand they're like, I'm so nervous, I really want to talk to that person. Maybe just walk up and say hello and then walk away because you're so nervous. So maybe the first time just saying hello is enough. And then walk back and kind of gather yourself up. And then the next time, because you will see them again, then say hello again. Or maybe they'll say hello. Or like, what do they call it? Don't spill the candy jar in the lobby. Don't dump it all. Yeah, don't dump it all right there. Like don't.
Is that an old guy thing?
It is. I've actually, it's an old sales guy's term. It's like we're not going to dump the candy jar in the lobby. We gotta bring them in before we gotta. Not going to give them everything once. You gotta. Yeah.
So I want to get to other people's advice.
Yeah, go ahead.
But one of my favorite things that Wildkarde says, and Josh brought it up too, which is thanks for being a fan.
Shit. I supposed to let that on the back.
And my favorite part about it, like it's something that we use now too sometimes just for fun. And it's just thanks for being a fan. If somebody says something that's kind of like off color or thanks whatever you don't like, you're just like, yeah. And I learned that from you, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
Man, it's nice, right? You're like, all right, cool, thanks. I appreciate that you looked at this thing and the feet. Oh, it's great. It's just great.
Anytime anybody gives me any kind of, feedback or whatever that seems to be out of left field or off topic or negative and just completely unmerited in any way that's just not relevant at all, my simple response is, thanks for being a fan.
Oh, I love it.
And you don't get a response back. I mean,
if I do, I get a hey, no problem, man, anytime, and like a thumbs up, or I get no response back at all. It's just
it's a conversation is over kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's a
This is me being very kind and saying,
yeah.
I thanks for being a fan.
That's good. I'm just glad Josh brought it up right there.
Thank you, Josh.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. It's Josh. How about you, Steve? What kind of advice do you have for people?
The biggest thing that I get, especially now that I do a lot of the YouTube stuff and the tutorials, and I've done that for like my entire career, but it seems like it's really starting to pick up now that the YouTube is taking off, is so many people watch and they get really inspired. And I tell them all the time, it's like, oh, I really hope to do this someday. Make it tomorrow. Jump in, do it, really get involved with it. If this is what you want to do, just do it. I mean, obviously, when you start off, it's not going to look like, the best thing in the world, but it's all a learning process. It's all getting better. And that's why I actually posted that not long ago on my page. I showed a picture of like all of my behind the scenes, the prototypes, and how they're messy. They're thrown together quick. They are not pretty. And it's just to show people, it's like, look, when you see one of my videos and it looks pretty in the end, it did not start that way. So don't feel that yours has to get to this point. You're just starting off. Every time you build something, it is a learning experience. You're moving on from that. And I think that's really important. That wasn't necessarily the thing back in the day, because there weren't all these different forums. There was the replica prop forum.
Sure.
And that was jumping into the deep end as a new prop maker, but that's all we had. And there are guys that had been in the industry for like, 30, 40 years, and you'd be super excited. You'd throw your thing in there and like, damn kids, like, what are you doing jumping in here on this cosplay stuff? Like we're prop makers. But it's awesome that we have these forums now where people can feel a lot more inclusive about it and they get that positive feedback. So yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
Just get started.
That's great advice.
Yeah, like Nike says, just do it. For real. I've been hearing that all my life from my dad as well. It's good advice, for sure. And you learn a lot because when you do stuff and you fail it, and also, I guess my piece of advice adding on to that is like when you try stuff all the time, you're going to fail a lot and you're going to learn a lot, and that's where that thick skin comes in handy, right?
That's right.
Getting that thick skin and getting that ability to be like, hey, this is the best I have, and somebody gets on some forum and says like, kid, that looks like trash. One, don't be that guy either, telling people things look like trash, because listen, there's no reason for anybody to be doing any gatekeeping or being a dick. Again, just be nice, right? Because that's how communities get, toxic real quick, is when people are sitting there being a dick to each other. And that's when like the people who are new to it come in and they say that. I've said it before on here too. That's just fail forward and fail lots and try it and just do it.
But I will say that our community as a whole, though, is a stronger community than some of the others that I used to be part of. So, like, I was an illustration major.
I agree.
I was in art. I was in drawing. That's cutthroat because you're always looking for the next guy. You don't want to help that guy out. You might get your job down the road type of a thing. So there's not a lot of help. But I do feel that our community is a lot better at that.
Yeah, but it takes a couple bad apples to do some things. But that being said, it's giant, and it's giant and close at the same time. And there's so many people who are sharing their knowledge like you do on YouTube, and like we all do panels and everything else. That it's super awesome to see everybody supporting each other in that way. So you're right. You're very right. The community is very strong as far as being able to help each other. Yeah. So Kofi, got any sage advice for us since we're doing the old fogey thing?
No, I don't.
Come on, Kofi. Which card should we play?
Well, I do have since you guys are pretty successful guys, we know what you do. What do you think about success, and who comes to mind when you think about other successful people?
I mean, the first thing that I would say is that I still don't think we're successful.
Oh, come on. You can't say that. No,
in the regards that when you say that you're successful, it's a plateau.
You think?
I feel that I'm always striving for something better.
Right.
Sure.
And so success is different in the regards like, well, what am I successful at? I was an illustration major. I don't do that anymore. So I wasn't successful at illustrating, but now I build stuff and I've become better at that. But when I still look at the successful people that are out there, it's always a mountain, all right?
Right.
You're always going to be looking up to someone else. And there's people that are down the mountain that are looking up to you, which is why it's very important that you are a positive outlook in whatever you do, because you are influencing other people in that respect. But yeah, I mean, it's like even where we're at, with selling foam or doing the cosplay stuff, I still look up and I see people like Yaya Han, who is an amazing business person. I look at Jessica Negri, definitely has her business down.
Yeah.
I look at Bill and Brittany. I look at Harrison, who runs a shop that has 10 people. He's in charge of like people's lives, people's income, people's insurance. I mean, so when I see like you guys are successful, it's like, well, I'm still just one guy in a shop building with some foam. I still have all these amazing people that I look up to that I would still love to strive to do even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well said.
Well said.
I gotta say, I completely disagree with a lot of that, but
okay, we can do that.
Because you're very
I
successful.
disagree.
I'm gonna say this way, like literally, I just really started hanging out with James about a year ago.
Yeah.
Actually, a little over a year ago now, and from day one, I knew who you guys were. I found out who you guys were, and every person always brings you guys up. So that's the only reason you are successful. It's good that you're humble, but you're very successful. And I think people do look up to you, maybe because you're humble and you do a good job, but I'm just saying.
Well, and that's another part to it too, is that like, I feel that people, especially our group, when you look at the C2E2 type group, all right, all the cause awesome people.
Yeah.
It's always been the fact that Scott and I are very open to helping everyone. I mean, it has always been that. Like, if you see me at a convention, come up, say hi. Like, it's that type of a thing. But like, don't be afraid to do it.
I'll run you down at a convention. Ask anybody. If I see you out there, I'll be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And I'll run off and get you. You don't have to come up to me. I'm coming to you.
And he shares beer. Remember that too. He shares beer.
That was not me. That was not me.
I wasn't disagreeing with the thing you were saying, other than I just
what do you disagree with, old man? All right,
the fundamental like success thing, like what makes you successful,
right?
So like and I talk about this with people all the time about random things of success. Man, if you are like, and this goes for anybody, it doesn't matter what level of like how many YouTube videos or whatever you put out. If you are like happy and like doing well and have people that care about you and like care about other people and like, you're good in general.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, I feel like that's really, to me, that's what makes you really successful.
Okay. All right. So that
what you were saying too.
We're defining success differently. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, but that is what James is talking about, though, is sometimes the veil that internet proceeds, right? All right. So you see me as successful, and I appreciate the hell out of it. I appreciate the hell out of all my fans and everyone else that follows along. I don't feel that I'm completely successful either because of all that stuff you just said. It is the fact that I do still work a stupid amount of hours. I work almost every single day I'm in the shop. I don't spend enough time with my wife and kids as I believe I should. And so that's where I feel if I could get to that point where I could have more of that separation of business versus family time, that would be more successful in my view. Right now, I don't feel that I'm successful because I am not in that.
Okay.
And that's something that a lot of people
you're still in grind mode.
Definitely.
See, that's
I'm right there with you, brother.
There's a thing about that is that like, and I always come at this differently from like the prop maker, cosplayer, foam company, mentality. I've also been doing this probably longer than anybody out there in the whole fabricator, designer world. And I work with millionaires and billionaires every day. And like, not everything I do is for a movie or a TV show. But I work with giant companies. You know, I work with TaylorMade and Boeing and Callaway and Nike and PlayStation, and like I work with all these great big giant companies making great big giant things. You know, and these guys are, you know, the money they throw around that's just nothing, you know, compared to us, you know. And the thing is, but they're very much like Steve though, is like they don't see themselves as successful either, because they're still grinding it every day too. I mean, they might fly private, show up in the, you know, wearing the most expensive things.
I do not fly private.
I understand this. But I'm saying, like, you know, these are guys that, like, they're in, they're out, they're to the test, they've got people around them, they make a ton of money, but they're the exact same way. You know, they haven't seen their kids in forever, they haven't seen their wives. You know, could they probably just stop tomorrow and just have oodles of money and just be retired? Yes, but they also have hundreds of thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people, that rely upon them to get the job done, because they have employees and people that, you know, need to get things done, and they have responsibilities they need to take care of. So they feel the need to also continue to grind for the people that rely on them and the people underneath them. So they also feel that they're not successful. So no amount of level you get to, there's always someone that you have to work for. And I know Steve works hard for his family, you know, that he has to work a little bit harder for, and we're always grinding. You know, it's always going to be a grind, you know, like a little bit, like there's always a little bit of a grind for me, no matter what level you're at. There's always a little bit of a grind if you're that kind of person, you know.
And that's the thing too, that exactly is that every single person that I mentioned in the mountain,
yes,
that I respect, behind the veil, all of those people bust their ass every single day.
Even if they had tens of millions of dollars and sold everything in their names, the next day they'd be like, you know what? How about an ant farm? How can I make money? Like, they would come up with something new. They would find something else to come up with. It would be the next big idea, the next thing. Everyone who has this mentality, who is this entrepreneurial, that does the type of things that we do, we're always something, you know. Even if I gave Steve a bunch of money and said, you could never be a prop maker or a foamsmith ever again because I've just bought you out for $100 million, the very next day he'd probably be like, he would find something else to do that would be a hustle or a grind. You know,
you said that, and he just went straight sad face. Like, he was like, I can't be.
No, in my head I was like, I
What
could
could I do?
actually play all those video games that I've missed out on for the last 5 years.
You wouldn't though. You'd find.
I
Something
wouldn't.
to do.
I would. I feel guilty playing games now.
You'd be like paper plates and blades of grass. I can find a way to make money.
Right? Like, feeling guilty playing games, like, that sucks. It sucks that we have to feel guilty playing games sometimes. But yeah, and also it's like that success. We're talking about success, so I gotta bring it up. The success iceberg, right? Where you see the success on the top. I don't know. Look up iceberg on Google, and you see what you see is the top of the iceberg, and underneath it is all like the sacrifice and all the long hours and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for everybody either, right? And also, like, fame is the same way in my mind. Like, and success obviously is a different thing. Like, to me, success, like I said before, is more like just being happy and figuring out, getting your ducks in a row and being good. But like, fame is something like, I gotta tell you, I don't want it. Like, I like people to, like, know who I am, sort of, by, like, to say hi. But that whole, like, I see people who are famous, and I mean, you see the super famous, even cosplayers, but let alone them. But like Michael Jordan couldn't go out anywhere without getting harassed wherever he was. And I know, probably out of all of us here, Steve, you're probably the most famous of the three of us.
Scott, what do I say all the time though too? I don't want to be famous. I want to be well off.
Yeah. So I want you to talk on that for a second. Like, I think obviously it's great to have fans and have people come up to you, but like, that gets a little tiring at times, right? Sometimes. Like, I think it would, for sure. So
Scott, how was it at New York Comic Con last year?
I'm still traumatized from New York Comic Con. I don't want to talk about it.
But it is the thing though too. It's like, and I know that it's a necessary evil of the business to always be, on, if you're at a convention especially. So we were at New York Comic Con, and what was it, 4 days? And they were 10-hour days that I was behind the booth the entire time.
Yeah.
And it was every time someone would come up, though, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of how that could be that person's one, thing to meet you or to say hi or to learn about what you have going on. And so it's that salesman side of me though too. It's like I sold appliances for years, and that's what I did before I did all of this stuff. I was the number one appliance sales guy in the Kansas City market. And so it is a thing of you turning it on even though you don't necessarily always feel good or you're tired. It's important that you do that, especially when, being, like you said, famous, that helps with everything else in the community, right? So having fans drives the YouTube, drives people
Sure.
using the HD phone, all that kind of stuff. But I've always told Scott, like, I don't care about being famous. I have to be to an extent to make this work, but it's never been like, man, I want to be the foam guy, like king of foam. And it's like, no, it's never been that. It's just doing the work and letting people decide.
What Kevin Hart says that everybody want to be famous, nobody want to put the work in.
Right.
It's just like it's exhausting, right? Like you said, and that's also something to remember too. I always bring up, like if you meet somebody and they're a celebrity at a convention, and I've had so many people be like, "Oh, I met somebody and they were mean to me, or they like just kind of told me to fuck off," and like they might have had to poop, man.
Was it one of us?
Yeah, was it? Was it Kofi? Did he have a look on his face?
No, it wasn't Kofi. But there are people get really upset about when they meet and they don't meet their expectations for whatever reason. But those people are tired. They've been meeting people all the time, especially at a convention or something like that, or they're on the way to go do something or whatever. It's just something to think about, I guess, on that one.
Yeah, if you catch a celebrity leaving the floor, especially if they got a handler with them, like an assistant, let them leave the floor. They're on a schedule. They have somewhere to be, and they gotta go. Don't stop them. Don't try and get a quick autograph or a photo or ask a question. Let them leave. And if they're not rude to you, their assistant is going to be, because they have somewhere they need to be.
Oh man, yeah.
Good old handlers.
If you're gonna get an earful from that handler, like that's gonna happen.
For sure. All right, let's change subjects a little bit. I know we mentioned it a few times. Scott, you gotta mute yourself or something. I hear like this hissing and you can. Let's talk about let's get to this whole what these sweatshirts are about. What's this HD foam thing that we talk about? Like apparently you guys are into like hugging foam and building stuff out of foam, maybe. And they're looking, Well, so how did you get into that? I guess like tell us the origin story, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of about it, right? Right, but it's that whole thing that I kind of mentioned earlier is that I was really at a crossroads in my cosplay career where I almost left completely.
Sure.
And it's because I was so burned out of doing the con scene. I was going to like 13, 14 cons a year, and it wasn't like you guys getting to sit around and have fun and getting on your little bikes doing Mario Kart stuff, right? It was actually working like nonstop at a booth, and it gets tiring.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the other part that people don't see is that I've put out behind the scenes over 1,600 individual props in the past 7 years. Mm-hmm. And that is a stupid amount. Most of my friends will tell me, like, that's dumb. Those are all handmade things. And it got to the point where I'm like, I can't do this. Literally can't do it anymore. And Scott and I had this kind of heart-to-heart thing on the way, like I said, on to your place. 5.5 hours in a vehicle will do that. And I was like, you know what? I've got to either leave or there's one other thing I would want to try. And it's creating my own line. And at first, we were just going to play around with the foam clay stuff. Because Scott's like, we're just going to do foam clay. It's going to be relatively easy. We don't have to develop really much of anything. It's just finding the manufacturers, getting it going. And I'm like, no, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And that's the look that Scott had basically right there. It's like, you don't realize how much work that is.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things, like, present self would tell past self, like, get ready for a ride, because this thing is going to be a complete pain in the ass, to get everything going. And it's still not easy, but it was awesome that, Scott went, and he's the big orchestrator for finding the different companies that we use. And it's awesome that, the first couple of companies he found, it was just like all the product that you find out there. And I was like, no, like I want to make it my product. And so he located a company that allowed me to choose everything I wanted about the foam, how hard it was, what color it was, density. And so I'm like, if I was starting off brand new, what would Steve's foam be? And that's where HD foam came from. And it's one of those things, if you feel it, it's different than any other foam that's on the market. And it's just because we were able to tailor make it to those specifications. Again, it's been incredibly tough. I mean, like Scott and I said, we were in a shipping container in 100 degrees, the two of us, and a completely full shipping container, and we unloaded it. I don't ever want to experience that again. And it's luckily, hopefully I won't have to.
Yeah.
Because we have been fortunate enough that we've partnered with Blick Art Materials. They've taken over all of the shipping, all of the distribution, all the storage. And so it's allowed me to focus on showing more people what to do with it. And
now you can actually build with it. Now you can do the whole YouTube thing like you have been.
And that's the thing, is like COVID sucked, right? COVID sucked for all of us.
Yes.
But with no conventions to go to, it allowed me all of that extra free time to finally jump into YouTube. Because YouTube isn't just, I'm going to make a video. No, it's making the video look pretty. It's like learning the cameras, learning the lenses, getting the correct microphones, getting the lighting. Oh, and then after you build all this, because it's going to take you 3 times as long because you're constantly moving the camera around, now you have to edit it. And every minute of editing is an hour's worth of you doing all of that. So when you see an 8-minute video, that's like 8-9 hours of editing to make that 8-minute video happen.
Oh yeah.
And so no conventions, though, has allowed me to do that. And it's allowed me to reach so many more people than I would have just going to a convention. I've got videos like the little baby Yoda pram is up to like 150,000 views. Like, so many people made that for Christmas presents this year that it was amazing. Like, I was getting tagged on Instagram all the time with these people that were putting together the entire thing, start to finish, because it's all in the video. And then they were able to give that to a family member as a Christmas present. And like, that's awesome. I'm able to be part of that. So it got to that thing of, I used to do, contests, and I won some pretty prestigious ones. And then I kind of dropped out to, like, if you win so much, like, you kind of then should go to the judging side of it. And so that's what I do a lot of times. But it's taking that and the pride that I got from winning, like how proud I was of the costume. Now I get to see that pride in other people building not only the builds that I put out, but with the products that I have. And that's a completely different experience that when we go into art school, I never thought I would have anything like that. I mean, it's crazy for me to think that I went from drawing to, running a line of products and helping people cultivate their skills.
It is really, really good and fun to help people. And you do a lot of that, especially on YouTube. I do that in Maker Lab. I run a makerspace. And I get that hands-on, like, one-on-one thing. And when people make something, I've showed them how to do, and they come back and they're like, "Hey, I gave this to my mom, and for Christmas, it was amazing. She like loved it." That is such a good feeling. You're getting that on like a massive, broad scale, right?
Yes.
Which honestly, the thing that I like the most isn't. I mean, your foam's great. I like your foam, but I really like the attention to detail that you put into your videos, and the editing is worth it. I think, right? Like, I understand it takes a long time, but it's hard. And I've tried to do it myself, and it's just rambling and not looking good, and lighting's off. And I mean, we've talked to other people on here that have the same thing. So really, I think a lot of people really appreciate how you can actually learn something from watching your videos too, which is incredibly important, right? Rather than it just being like, look, guys, I magic this bitch up.
Yeah.
Like, there you go.
And that was a big, because you have to determine kind of what's your niche, right? What are you going to do? You know, it's like Bobby Duke's a goofball throughout the entire video, but he makes something awesome. You don't really see how he does all of it because, you know, half of it he'll be eating paint or throwing, you know, chickens somewhere. Versus like, yeah, like you said, like the videos that I want to create are, it's not, you're not going to really see a lot of funning, joking, stuff like that. I'm here to teach you, you know, this is from start to finish. I'm going to show you how to put this thing together. So,
yeah.
And yeah, it does take a lot, especially like the voiceovers and all that, because it's not, I can't just hit the music and just have music roll through the whole video. It's like, oh no, I have to explain every single step that I did. So,
I mean, you can. We just
yeah.
What do you just do? What tool is that? I do that all the time on my TikTok. I'm like, what the hell? I'm sending this to my friends.
That's
hell tool is this? I wish they would just tell me. Right? Anyway,
that's what I like about Steve's video. And we've talked a lot about like the style and what to do with Steve's tutorial videos. And the thing is that like at the beginning you might not be as good as Steve, you know, but if you just watch what he does and you practice how he does it, you can become proficient, as good or not better, just because he shows you exactly how to make it every time. So you can actually learn how to make like Steve, you know?
Yeah, the test videos that I did for Blick, which like the night helmet was one of the first ones, and put the video out there, and like within a couple of days, people were sending me pictures of the helmet done, and it looked exactly like my helmet. And I was like, Scott, this means that it works, because these videos are simple enough that people can follow right along with it.
Down to the paint job. I mean, I thought he was sending me back a picture of his helmet. Like some people made it exactly.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. Because you're passing on all those skills, like every one of those skills, from cutting it to shaving it down to gluing it together to all of it to painting.
Yeah. Like, he shows you how to use the brush properly, how to water down the paint. Like and you could take those from the simplest of using, like making a helmet or, you know, whatever prop he's making. And then you could transfer that over to your own whatever you're making and, you know, develop your skills. So
this is the newest one I'm working on.
I saw
the Deku. Is it Deku or Deku?
See, I always call it Deku.
See, I always called it Deku as well, and I've seen people call it the Deku shield.
Well, we're old fogies, so
but
we know what
it's that thing, right? So someone can watch this video. This will probably be out in another week and a half or so.
Sure.
But it's not you can make the shield, and that's great. But you could then also just look at the wood textures and utilize the wood textures.
Oh, yeah.
And another prop. And that's the whole thing is like...
Or just how you made straps for a shield.
Yeah. Little things like that.
All of it. Like, and that's the fun part about prop making and making things in general. Not even just your videos, but everything you watch, right? Everything you come across. If I'm walking through the store, I'm like, holy crap, I bet I could build something out of this, right? Because I wonder if I could cut through this with this, or I wonder if I heat form this. Hopefully I can wear a mask so it doesn't kill me. But I wonder if I can bend this around, right? Like, so definitely read the material sheets on everything before you heat gun it. Don't just
don't just.
But anyway, what I'm saying though is that you can learn a whole bunch of different things from different pieces, or just by like one video altogether, and that's the beauty of it, because you can go and take all that knowledge and just combine it all and make whatever you want.
Oh, and by the way, in case anyone wants to, it's youtube.com/SKSprops.
Oh yeah. We're gonna probably put that in the thing where at some point I'll post it. I'll post it after we're done, because I'm already having problems running all this thing. But Samir, who by the way has an amazing Aries costume,
yes, he does. Samir, it's beautiful.
Yeah, he does. If you haven't seen that Aries,
it's Aries from Smite, that guy.
If you haven't seen his Aries, you're not on the internet.
If I was going to make a costume from Smite, I would want it to be Aries, and I've said that multiple times. So I'm like, nobody's got that much time. Apparently, Samir does, and he did it right.
He did it right.
I saw that build, and I literally told Scott, like, I want to do a full costume again.
Yeah.
It's like this inspired me to do like a full costume again.
Me too.
Yeah, amazing work.
Yeah, for sure. So he's asking, Good question here, but what's the future? What's the next step from where you guys are at?
Scott, the doors.
Oh,
Right?
how many doors? Every time we open a door, there's like 3 more doors behind that door.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the band, The Doors, and I'm like, wait, you guys gonna do music now? Cover band?
No. But no, it's really a thing that we bring up all the time is that we didn't think we get to this point, right?
Yeah.
But you get to that point, and it gives you a whole nother set of options. And so, what's this future hold? I have no idea. We just do it one day at a time, one video at a time, one build at a time. See where it goes. I mean, nothing's planned out.
It takes a lot to go into, especially when you're working with companies and corporations and deals and everything. There's always something in the works, and something comes, something goes, and by the time you get up to a certain level with other things in the works, plans that are down the road, some things happen, that things change, and you got to shift gears, and then another opportunity comes up. So maybe it's really hard to say. There's a lot of opportunities out there.
Oh, I hear you. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but I feel like those are a bunch of excuses, and you really need to know.
Well, okay, then it's an NDA, and we can't tell you what we're going to be doing in the future.
This is us telling you that we're not allowed to say.
Like, if everybody was like, there you go, all your jobs are done, everything's done, you made the money, what would you do next? Like, or what costume would you build next? Or what thing would you go travel?
You want to talk about that?
If that's the case, all right, so like what I've done in my free time when I haven't been doing foam is I've been learning like 3D stuff. I've been learning 3D modeling. I got some 3D resin printers that I've been playing with. And I think it's that thing of like, because I do this all the time, doing another art medium is fun to me. It doesn't feel like work at this point. And so, I mean, if I could balance it more, I would like to spend more time with the family. We got a new little member, Ripley, a new little puppy in our house.
Oh, Ripley's so cute.
But it's like I'd like to do that. I'd like to focus more on other types of mediums. A lot of people know us for foam, but like I hand sculpt and resin cast a lot of stuff, and most people don't know me for that now because everything's foam, which happens when you own a foam company. But
we're going to totally talk about that, like when we're sitting on the porch. Remember back in the day when you used to just sculpt foam? Yeah. Because that's how I met you. You were just making a bunch of psycho masks and a bunch of other stuff too, just hand sculpting all kinds of stuff and casting it.
Yeah, like I've never been a foam guy. Like, not really. I
like how you were literally hugging foam for like half.
I know, but I'm like, I cosplay foam, and Steve and I do a foam business, but like,
yeah.
I don't know. Don't fabricate. I'm aluminum fab guy. Like, I don't.
Really cool shit out of foam, but I've also seen you make some really cool stuff out of other things too.
Yeah, I really kind of want to get back into animatronics, and I recently got to make a cool project for Walmart. They had some eyes that moved, and I got to make some an animatronic thing recently for a thing that'll come out soon, and and I like to get into more of that stuff, and I wish we had more time that like Steve and I could work on a project together that is not like anything oriented, that was just for fun, that utilized some new skills. Like I'd love for him to like do something up with the computer with his new ZBrush skills, then maybe 3D print a master, and then sculpt it, cast out some new materials and put some animatronics in it, and then maybe make something out of it. Like, I don't know, I'd like for us to get together on just a fun, different medium project if we ever had the time to really do that.
Goes back to what you said half an hour ago of even if we weren't doing foam,
we'd be doing that.
Find something.
That's what I'm saying. If we had nothing else to do, we had the time, I'd be like, hey, Steve, we got the money and the time, and like, I'm kicking it on a Saturday. Like, how about we go get together for a barbecue and just hang out, and all of a sudden you and I'd be in the garage, be like, all right, well, just push print real quick and we'll knock that out, and I'll mix up some silicone, and that's just what we do. And then we turn it into a YouTube channel. We make like a mini movie or something. We would do that.
Yeah, that's, now you're talking Kofi's line of work. The whole like documenting and videotaping everything. Yeah,
film everything if you can.
Yeah, and that's what we would do. We would do something like that. And yeah,
that's good, right?
I would tinker. That's what I would do if I had my druthers. I would just experiment and tinker R&D style. That's what I would do.
I tell you one thing, Wulfgar,
what's up?
that I do want to, and I have been working on behind the scenes, is Wasteland Alice.
Yes, I saw. So people who don't know about Wasteland Alice, tell us about that for a second.
It is a character I created 4 or 5 years ago now as a one-off, just to make a mask. Basically, it's Alice in Wonderland, but it's a post-apocalyptic version. And I come up with Alice herself, but then I came up with everybody else is like, well, what do all the other characters look like? So I kickstarted a coloring book and playing cards, and it was successfully funded. But the entire story itself is still in the works. And hopefully within this next year and a half, we'll be able to finally put out what we've been working on behind the scenes on that. So that's another thing. Again, there's always something.
Yeah, so. That's your own content too.
So I want that to come back. I want to do that again.
Yeah,
I mean, the Dragon Con, that was one of the coolest experiences I'd ever had at Dragon Con. When we had 12 of our friends all dress up as different characters of Wasteland Alice. And it's awesome when you're in a group and it's a bunch of Marvel characters. To be the creator of an IP and have all of your friends and fans dress up as the characters. And I had the worst costume there. Like, mine was just thrown together.
Yeah.
And everyone else they looked amazing. And that was awesome.
Remember when we came to Seattle the first time when we debuted them all? And,
I remember
Seattle.
That was in Emerald City.
Yeah, James, you were there, and we were in Nick Modulus and I. We were in Nick's room, hotel room, getting ready, and my brother and I are putting the costumes on that I had made for us, and Ted's putting the dirt on Nick and getting them all makeuped up and like doing just like the pro makeup job on him. And Nick's got the axe and the whole thing and all that. And we finally, and Steve's just blowing us up like, where are you guys at? Because he's already at the convention. And we finally,
I was standing next to him at the time.
And he's just like sitting there like, but by himself in this like character that nobody recognizes because nobody's seen it before. We finally come strolling down there and like we're just like my brother's a giant, and we're all in these wasteland. We were looking like just to the nines, and Steve's there, and he's like, "Oh man, I really phoned this in."
I had to upgrade it for C2E2.
For C2E2, he went home to like completely redid it and came back out, and then it's C2, because then Jen Greeley shows up as the Red Queen, and we nailed it at Emerald. Like it looked great, and then for C2 and Kyra did the Bandersnatch and.
She looked so good.
And she looked so good. And Steve was like, okay, I gotta like it. Like he completely redid the costume for C2E2. I was like, yeah, buddy.
I find that happened to me quite a bit actually, where I'm like, really worried about other stuff, and then it's like, shit, I have to go to this convention in a couple days. I should really make this happen. Right?
It's the group you put together.
Sometimes it works out, and it's really fun. I love feeling that like day before. Because I've taken off work or whatever, I'm just like, not going to do anything. I'm just going to like prep for the convention, give myself a full day's build, and that's like 8 hours, so I can get a lot. Let's be honest, more like 16 hours, so I can get a lot of time in to do this. And that to me, that's a lot of fun. But yes, every once in a while, I phone it in because something happens that one day, or I don't feel good or whatever, and it's not the best feeling, but I guess that's part of it when you do it that way. And I'm not saying that you did that either. I'm just saying, for me, every once in a while I will legitimately, in my mind, like mess up my own costume by accident because I just didn't plan enough time. But I also like doing it really fast too. Kofi's been there. He documented an entire like night of me working on Cable when we first met, and then Cable literally died on the way up to C2E2 the next day, so didn't even get to wear it. But yeah.
Was that the bin incident?
Yeah. I was sad to hear that.
I forgot that I lost Cable in 2020 as well. Oh well, that was a little.
It's been a long year.
Yeah, we're out of that year. Fuck that year.
Hey, Steve, remember Dragon Con with the Borderlands stuff, the new Psycho mask?
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, you remember like for like a second, like You were thinking about being the psycho
for a second, yes.
for like a second.
So I put together like the whole Borderlands 3 psycho, and like to wear. I was gonna wear it and everything, and then a little self consciousness seemed to hit me, and Scott's like, you know, my buddy's he's a bodybuilder and he'll wear it, and so he showed me like pictures. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a better idea. Let's just go ahead and do that. But he wore it, like the whole costume. I had it for him. I painted him up, and he looked amazing. Like he looked exactly like a psycho out of the game. So I was just like, it's for the art, all right. It's not about me wearing it. It's about making the product look good. All right.
It was pretty funny though, because Steve was like, I don't know what you think, and I was like, you know, Jason is riding down with us to Atlanta, and like he is like a professional trainer, like bodybuilder, and he's more than happy to wear the costume for you. And he's like, Steve was like, all right, well, let me change it for him, and like made it like Jason's also like 6 feet tall, and you know,
had to change a little
So
bit, but
exactly.
but it looked awesome.
and so he was like a dead ringer for Steve, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys know this or not. I'm not 6 feet tall.
Yeah, Steve's not 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
He's 6'7".
Yeah,
In an orc.
yeah. No, we'll not get into Steve's height.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that tonight.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
We'll save that.
So no, that actually makes a really, really good point for anybody out there. Again, the concept of lowering the bar. Like we've all been in that situation where we're like, don't feel comfortable wearing something, either because it's, in my case, like sometimes it'll be like, man, I used to be in better shape and now I'm not. But or other people, just in general, like it is about having fun. It's being comfortable, right? So definitely that happens to everybody. So if it's ever something that you're like, man, this eyepiece that I made isn't staying on, it's falling off, just leave it, right? Like don't. It's about having fun in my mind. At least when you're at a convention, that's right. If you're doing it for a movie or something else, then there's issues.
If you don't feel like doing it, then just don't do it. Or if you feel like doing it, but if you feel like you look like if you put it on and you love it, you're like, man, I look great in this. Rock it. Then you go rock it.
What it is,
but if you're not feeling it, if you're like, I don't know about this, and you don't want to do it, then nobody's saying you have to go do it. You know, it's totally up to you. Yeah. All right, what's Samir saying there, Kofi? I can't read it.
He's saying,
James, who's got it?
I feel the same way every time I've made my father wear the costume, and because apparently his father's been wearing the costume. We didn't know, right? This is breaking news here. I thought that was you, man. But yeah, so it's a matter of like, if you made it, it doesn't mean that you have to wear it either, right? There's plenty of people who are costume designers that design stuff all the time for movie people, right? For like,
you have seen the HD Knight, you know.
I'm not gonna wear that.
Parade Deathbringer, which we made specifically for New York Comic Con.
Right? Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I made exactly 7 pieces of that armor just out of raw foam. You know, like I made the gloves, the base of the helmet, and like the shins, you know, and like Steve painted and weathered the whole. I mean, you know, I made some parts to fit me and then gave it to Steve and he finished it all up. But it was for me. I'm, you know, at the time, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, you know, like, and Steve had to be behind the booth being famous Steve, and I got to be in the costume and walk around, you know? So yeah. Did I make the costume? No. You know, was I proud as hell to wear it? You damn right, man. That was awesome. And I told Steve too, I was like, I really wish that you could have been in the costume walking around New York Comic Con, because even though it was a totally original character, people just, I mean, they loved it.
And that sounds awesome to me until Scott takes the helmet off and he's just drenched. And it looks like he's about to die. He's like, man, I wish you were in this costume. The fans love it so much. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good, man.
He's like, I'm good, dude. I'm totally good.
But that's like, that's the thing that I enjoy, though, right? That's the artistic side that I like. I always I'm not a cosplayer. I am a prop builder and a costume builder. I wore the costumes to show them off and to show what they could do. but I never enjoy really being in them. You know, it's like Ethan and Lauren, why they wear a lot of my stuff because they look awesome in it. You know, it's like, Ethan, you want to wear a Death Dealer? All right, you look like your Death Dealer anyway. Let's go for it.
Wait, you happen to be a bodybuilding couple? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and wear my stuff.
And I love just wearing a costume going around. I mean, I've been a space wolf with you, James. You know,
yeah.
You know, we yeah, that was a great time. I love doing that.
Well, bring this up. Literally, I've never seen a space wolf take so many smoke breaks. Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, come on, you know.
When space wolves, I turned around like, where the shit is Wildkarde? He was a wild card.
And I'm just back there like smoking a cigarette, like, oh man, that's whatever, dude. That's gonna be the sad part about 2021. Is like there was a picture of me smoking a cigarette in like every single costume ever.
Yeah.
Except now because like I quit smoking. So like
big
and my voice changed. I don't smoke anymore. Like it's totally different. So like I don't drink, I don't smoke. Like what the hell, you know? I'm officially old and this is ridiculous. So, but yeah, like I've been a space wolf. I've been the Harad Deathbringer. I've been the one of the policemen from the Fifth Element. These are all costumes I did not make. You know, someone else made, and they are absolutely fantastic. You know, Wulfgar made the Space Wolf. BH Cosplay made the Fifth Element police costume. Steve made the Harad Deathbringer. And I mean, to much fanfare, these are costumes I've worn that have been put all over the internet and have been like, you know, and I've gotten credit, cosplayer, you know, Wildkarde, and they've gone, you know, been renowned all over everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't make that. But I loved it. It was great. Fantastic. You know?
Yeah. Freddie was
I'll
good.
do it again.
He was giving you cigarettes in that space wolf because you can't move too much.
Oh yeah. I'm like, put it in my mouth. I'll light it. All right, yeah. So I'm wearing hockey gloves and I can't get them up, you know.
You have to like be that like gum salesman now or something, right? Like I don't know, you gotta have a new shtick that you
be like Kojak with the lollipops, you know, like put a Tootsie Roll pop in my mouth. Yeah.
Wildkarde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who loves you, baby?
Really good points that you don't have to make the costume to have fun in them. Of course, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Oh, Ashley's here. She says no smoke breaks. I haven't seen her in a while.
Oh shit, Ashley. Oh man.
Oh man. And speaking of,
no, that's my smoke breaking buddy right there. Oh man.
Yeah.
I just broke her heart. Shit, I'm sorry.
I love the fact that your voice changed, and I immediately was like, "You sound different. You got a cold?" He's like, "No, I just stopped smoking." Guys,
my voice went up 3 octaves because like,
no, I don't. I think it sounds.
It just sounds different. It just sounds different. Yeah.
You sound healthier now. No, I'm joking.
It's not as strained anymore. Yeah.
No, I had no idea that even would be a thing. Like your voice could actually change when you stop smoking. But hey,
yeah, I sound different now.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Kofi, you asked this question way better than I do. The whole would you be like the thing? What do you consider yourself thing? I always forget this one.
Oh, normally the question is, do you consider yourself a maker, cosplayer, or something else?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like you just said that you consider yourself a prop maker, right, Steve?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I would say nowadays too, it's almost like prop maker / teacher. You know, versus if I had to have that moniker.
Yeah. Like, we're not trying to label people, but and actually somebody else on here said something amazing, which was like a lot of it depends on the situation, like who I'm introducing myself to or where I'm going. But in your like self monologue, Wildkarde, what do you consider yourself?
Fabricator.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But professionally, I'm a 3D modeler.
Yeah, that's just it, right?
Isn't that weird though? Like nobody knows me in this world as a professional 3D modeler.
Because you don't advertise that shit, right?
Because I don't want to.
No, of course not. Because we, as cosplayers and makers that want 3D models, are demanding and pay very little money.
Exactly. Right. But no, to myself, I consider myself a fabricator forever and always. Yeah. My stuff's going to start clicking again, so I'm gonna mute my mic while you guys talk.
Cool. I feel like he has one of those little like ball things that goes back and forth. Whatever that clicking was, you know what I'm talking about? I forget. Anyway, I'm just making up names, making up things now. Ashley says congratulations on quitting. Ashley, you can quit with him. Look at that. That's a wholesome PSA. Guys, stop smoking. Okay, that didn't work. Nobody else gave me the thumbs up. Nothing.
Well, because then in my mind, I'm like, well, then Scott's gonna go, Steve, you need to stop drinking. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, we all need that. I like as Kofi literally shoots smoke out of the It's okay. It's all right. We'll all make it to that porch.
It's like that, this is your brain on drugs commercial, like, oh.
Yeah. That's what happened. And yes, I was talking about Newton's Cradle. Thank you for understanding my gibbering. So we asked what's next, all kinds of stuff. Guys, anybody in the comments, please feel free to ask questions. These guys are open book. We don't have a whole lot more time, but I like talking to them too much to let them go right yet. So I do have a couple more questions. And mainly it's stuff like, man, we're going to probably have this massive, just crazy float opening thing of conventions happening all over. And everybody wanted this and this and this, and cosplay groups all the time. And what if, I guess as far as the future goes, do you see yourselves going to as many conventions as you used to or more, or how's that going? And also you got any big plans for cosplay groups or something?
I don't have plans for cosplay groups yet. I think the planning stage really isn't going to happen until we really determine when cons are coming back.
For sure.
I'm starting to get emails from conventions that are opening as soon as August. And then, of course, C2E2, Emerald City, those are scheduled for December at this point. But I don't think any of us really know. And I actually posted that poll the other day on my page of because I wanted to gauge where were people at. Are you going to go to a convention this year? And I'd say probably 80-85% were we're not going to go to anything this year. Which I mean, I understand. Everyone has. Of course, we all want to be back out there, right? We all want to be there. We want to be in the lobby of C2E2.
Yeah.
With all of our friends and everything else, but until it's comfortable for everyone, it's going to be difficult to do that. Do I think I'll go to as many conventions? Honestly, I don't think so. I used to go to a lot, and then I've kind of backed it off, like Dragon Con, Emerald City, C2E2, Planet. Those are kind of my big four. I really see myself spending more time doing the YouTube thing at home, not taking a week, because you got to figure you got to travel, you got to go to the con, you got to travel back. I mean, that's a week that I could be in the shop doing something and still helping the community, helping to, put information out there without having to be at a con.
You say that, but we all know that rush of going to just come to
this one. We do. But I'm saying my big four.
I want you to find your good balance place, but I gotta say I'm gonna miss you being at cons. I don't want to see you go to less cons. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you can always drive 5 hours this way.
I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I mean I'll meet you halfway or something, man. 5 hours is that. Yeah, no, actually that's not true. I'll go. Speaking of Wildkarde, how about you? What's your how do you see yourself dealing with the influx of craziness after this, whenever that might be?
I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I definitely think, I'm still in the wait and see kind of mode, to determine how it's all going to shake out, but I definitely want to once everybody's back and we're all we're definitely going, there's definitely conventions I'm definitely dying to go back to, Dragon Con, Planet, C2E2. I used to love to go to Emerald every year, see my friends, see my brother, because my brother lives in Seattle, and I've been to Seattle so many times.
Yeah.
His daughter's young now, and I don't know that he can make it out to the convention with me, or that I can make it up there with him and all that. So, that's a toughie. I'm really I know. So I got so many friends in Seattle that I really want to go up to see, but this year it's kind of up in the air. You know, we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes. This year is still up in the air. I'm not making any commitments for this year. You know, so I don't know. Yeah. But like, so those are always like kind of like I said. Steve says the big four is always the big four. Wonderfest is one that is a big model makers convention in Kentucky. In Louisville that I love me some Wonderfest. It's a really small, but it's like a model makers convention. It's not a cosplay convention whatsoever. But if you're into models and props, like scale models, like you got to go to Wonderfest. Like
you've talked about Wonderfest a ton. I want to go. You make me want to go to that. But
that is one I guested with my buddy Kenny Palco a couple years ago. And this is like a couple some of like the who's who of like Hollywood prop makers from you know, and like writers and concept artists and guys that are just into like scale models and models and like, you know, that kind of stuff. They're all there, and it's a really good time, you know, especially if you're into that sort of thing. So that's definitely one. And yeah, and there's this itty bitty little one in Indiana. I went to one time that was like, it ended up being a lot of fun. I went up on a whim, a couple years ago. But it was a ton of fun. There's a bunch of photographers there, and I really wish I had brought more costumes or my better costumes.
We represent here in Indiana.
But it was called it was like a project. What was it? PC Cause Awesome, something like that. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, that's the Project Cause Awesome thing.
Project Cause Awesome. That's it.
Which seems to be awesome. And yeah, dude, I gotta say that noise. What is the noise, man?
It's a filter. It's an electronic filter.
To just like annoy the shit out of us.
So it's electric filter that's going in. Since I'm in the shop and all the shop dust that's clicking around, you can hear it.
You have that all the time in your shop?
Yeah. Oh, it kicks on and off.
Okay.
So as it's going on right now and it's filtering out all the dust, you can just hear it. So it sounds like a bug zapper. You can just hear it better because the microphone's picking it up.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no,
Allie's gonna murder you and me tomorrow when I make her edit this, or when she wants to edit this because she wants to be good at what she does. But
try to take that part out. Yeah, but no, I'd love to go back to Project Cause Awesome, depending on when it is.
They have my deposit. At some point we will do it because they didn't.
That's really fun, and we play musical chairs. And I never thought playing musical chairs as an adult would be so much fun, but
it's fun to hear a costume and Quaid is DJ. It's different.
Speaking of Quaid, man, we were talking about Emerald City. You remember Emerald City? How many years ago was that now?
I remember Emerald City. Yeah,
I'm saying, but I mean that was years ago now, right?
It was like it seems like yesterday. It was like
it does, but it was several. It was several years ago.
Sure. What about it?
And like you and I already knew each other, and that was the first time I ever met John Quaid.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I already knew this was not my first time in Emerald City, you know, and it was. And like I already knew a bunch of people, and you already knew a bunch of people, and but I'd never met John Quaid before, and that's like on a Thursday, and I was running to you, and you're out with this guy, like, hey, this is my buddy Quaid, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And then like we walked past this booth that had these foam swords.
Yes,
and you made Quaid and I fight, and you're like, well, you guys should fight, and I don't know this guy from anybody at all, but you make us fight with foam swords, and I thought he was just a friend of yours. And so subsequently after that, I realized that, and this is when I noticed that, like, if you're a woman and you're a friend of John Quaid's, you're a beautiful woman. So if you're a woman out there and you're listening, and you're a friend of John Quaid's, you're a beautiful woman. Because John Quaid is only friends with beautiful women. And I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? I was like, I didn't know. And then all of a sudden he went and had like 8 costume changes in a day. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. I was like every time I saw him, he had on a different costume. And I don't know how he got them to the convention, because you guys stayed like 8 bus rides away.
We took a bus in, yeah.
Yeah, like you weren't anywhere near the convention. And and then Quaid had like, I swear to God, he had like 37 different costumes on. And I thought he was just some dude that just like came to Seattle with you to hang out. I didn't know he
Yeah.
was a cosplayer, and
no,
I was like,
he's a guy-
man, we went to this bar and like there was a costume contest, and didn't he like place in it in his JD costume or something?
he was probably because he looks like
Because he
JD.
looks just like him, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is. This guy's amazing. And
I
was
like
like,
it. That's I
was like, I thought James was cool. Like this dude's like, this guy's the shit,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And I was like, damn, man, who is this guy? And like
I mean,
he
he's
knew everybody.
fucking
And I was like,
downgrade.
shit. I'm like, fuck you, James. Quaid's in. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Thanks for that story. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm like, that's my John Quaid story.
Yeah. No, Quaid is awesome. For sure. I don't know if he's listening right now. He usually does, but
I don't care.
In the middle
I don't care.
Stuff. I'll tell him we talked about it, and he'll be like, "Yeah, okay, cool." I'll be like,
No,
"No,
he won't care either.
He's
like,
gonna
yeah,
have to
whatever.
watch an hour and a half into it though. So
Like,
that's
yeah, whatever. I don't care. It's like,
here's the thing.
the
I
hell
was
with
just
that
telling
guy.
you that I think Wildkarde has a like serious man crush on him, and I'm like, he knew that.
I
He
think
knew
I
that
told
already.
my Adam Watney story last time I was on. So
Oh,
I
man.
always like to tell a story of one of my
Yeah.
Indiana guys. So
You have to. Now we rock out some pretty awesome stuff here in Indiana. I'm excited to get back to it for sure, and I'm just worried. Honestly, I'm worried that there's going to be too much stuff going on at the same time that I'm not going to be able to do it, right? Because there's going to be like a bunch of Comic Cons happening all on the same day because everybody's going to try to make up for all that.
or back
So,
to back to back.
Yeah, back to back to back on
Yeah.
one of those. Then also the way I see it is I want to do this shit in like, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I want to be doing it for a long time. So if I have to slow play back into it or whatever has to happen, that's cool. But I'm excited to, whenever that is, I'm excited to get right back into it.
Scott will have his walker by then.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Maybe we can like literally just go as the Old Fogies cosplay group and just wear like walkers. Just put gray in our hair. That's it. I used to put gray in my hair a lot for a lot of different costumes, and like for a while, people would come up to me and be like, "I thought you were older."
I did too.
Yeah, that's the thing that happens. And now we are just literally rambling in an hour and 30 in. And I love it. All right,
I forgot we were live. I thought we were just hanging out.
Rail, man. This is usually when he's trying to cut me off, but not having. I have the power now. Oh look, Chris is here. Oh, see, we're
Papa
good.
Bear.
What's up, Papa?
Oh yeah.
What up, Papa Bear cosplay? Man, I like that guy too. See, I miss all these people, and actually that's the other thing too. I like doing this show, and I like doing this show because I get to see the people coming in, and I'm just talking to you guys. And thanks. We really do have to wrap up a bit, but thank you so much for coming on. And Pop Bear, sorry, you're going to be on. Pop Bear is going to be on here like 2 weeks from now. I think it's Pop Bear's up next. I don't know. I have to check the schedule. We'll post it, but he's up here pretty soon. So maybe he's just like watching to take notes or whatever. But thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. And I have such a blast every time I get to talk to you guys, every time I get to hang out with you guys. And just really from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being on here. Thanks everybody for coming on. I really want to do this after we're back at conventions, maybe from conventions. We'll see. Kofi's going to like literally strangle me and be like, I don't want to have to do that shit. Although he'll be here right there with us, right?
Probably. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm down for it.
Well, expect to see the puppet then at the convention. So
I thought that was
You won't even know I'm not there, right? Because I'll still be here doing my YouTube videos, and like the puppet will be there.
right, the puppet will come check in on Steve. Yeah,
Well, it'd be even cooler if we got like some kind of voice box and you could be at home and talk through the puppet. You can see everything going on, which would make it even cooler.
people who don't know what we're talking about when we say puppet. Wildkarde, Scott made a little SKS props like Steve puppet, and he has the voice for him and everything else like that. He won't bring
There's
it
a
out.
puppet Steve.
He promised me he wasn't bringing it out on camera tonight. So blame Steve for that. That's the thing. I don't know. It is awesome, and you can go back on our past channels when we've talked to Wildkarde. Look for that, and then see it there.
If you go on my Instagram on Wildkarde, you could see pictures of Puppet Steve. He's on there. So.
It's good. But again, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
and
no problem, man.
Like all the conventions, right? Like all the conventions.
I mean, at this point,
Hug the
I said,
phone.
Emerald City is a maybe, but like C2E2, I really would love to see.
I'm
would
hoping
really
for
like to see
C2.
it
I'm really
happen.
hoping for C2.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
I'm,
mid-December.
I'm fine if it's like 3 years from now is the next one, right? Like if that's the case, if that's what people feel comfortable doing. But yeah, I mean, I'm planning on going to C2E2 in December. I probably be wearing a masked costume maybe, or at least something that will look cool with a mask, right?
Yeah.
But that's
Hey,
that.
all my cosplays I've ever done have always had a mask, a hat, or a helmet. No one even knew what the hell I looked like for like 3.5 years.
Oh, that's so true. That's so
This
true.
is true.
You've been prepping for this your entire life.
We'll see how it goes, but
We're in mask culture. This is awesome.
I'm hopeful for the future, but we're still going to play it by ear. It's too soon to say for sure.
For sure. And I mean, we'll be there whenever it does happen. And thanks everybody for coming by. I'm gonna say bye now, but I want everybody else to stay on and tell us where they can find you. I am James Wulfgar Weapons and Props. Thanks again for coming. Kofi, tell us where they can find you.
You can find me at Friday Austin on everything, or you can go search at Get Live Media Network on Facebook.
Scott,
I am.
where can
Scott.
they find you?
You can find me on all the social medias at Wildkarde, spelled with a K and an E, just like on the bottom of the screen here, WILDKARDE on all the socials. And Steve, where can they find you?
And you guys, of course, can find me on all the socials at SKS Props and, of course, on YouTube. And if you guys have questions on any building related things or not, just hit me up on Messenger. I'm one of those, I literally have my phone by me all the time, and I may not get to the question right away, but I try to get to everyone's questions.
That is a lot of questions, but we appreciate all that. So again, thanks guys, and thanks for watching everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming, everybody.